Stress is your friend. Dr. Kelly McGonigal is a health psychologist and lecturer at Stanford University. She's a world authority in her field, and her job is to translate the insights from psychology and neuroscience into practical strategies that people can use to make them healthier and happier. She realized after 10 years that what she had been doing was wrong. The way that she had been viewing stress and advising people about stress for about a decade was doing more harm than good. And she came to the conclusion that stress is not the enemy. Her eureka moment was when she read about a study that had involved 30,000 people in the United States across about 8 years. And they asked these people two questions. Have you been stressed recently? Do you believe that stress is bad for your health? So they followed these people, and 8 years later, they cross-referenced the participants with the death register, which is publicly available information, and they saw who died. And what they found was that people who had said, yes, I have been stressed recently, and yes, I believe that stress is bad for your health, had a 43% increased chance of dying. Conversely, people who had stress but didn't see it as a bad thing had the smallest chance of ill health, even ahead of those who had no stress. So if stress is used in the right way, it can actually be more positive than having no stress. In 8 years of studying the deaths, 182,000 Americans were believed to have died from stress, thinking stress is bad for you, not even stress itself, but the belief that stress is bad for you. If that's true, that would make it about the 15th highest cause of death in the United States, ahead of skin cancer, HIV, and homicide. At Harvard, they did a further test, and evaluators were encouraged to give feedback that was discerning and non-verbal feedback, like folding arms, tutting, looking down their nose at people, and then negative feedback as well. So each participant was asked to count down from 996 in increments of 7, and to do so out loud. Whilst they were doing that, they were getting negative feedback questions about, are you sure you got your maths right there? I can't hear you. Can you please speak up? The kind of things that can really stress you out in a social stress test. What was noticeable were the physical changes. So sweat and increased heart rate or increased breathing. They're often thought to be signs of anxiety, but what Dr. Kelly McGonigal has found is that your body is actually energized and prepared for the challenge. And that's the brief that some of the participants at Harvard were given before their test. Breathing is no problem. You're going to get more oxygen to your brain. You've got to make quicker decisions. In order to do that, you need more oxygen. In order to do that, you've got to breathe. So if you're breathing heavily, then that's a good thing. If you're sweating, your body is regulating your temperature so that it can focus on the task at hand. So stress became helpful to these participants, and they performed better than those who had no stress. In terms of the mindset, those who saw stress as helpful can maintain a very acute but also healthier cardiovascular profile. So when stress is taken the right way and used for good, the way in which the heart works is very, very different to those that think it's a bad thing. The heart, when it's healthy, when it's the cardiovascular profile is very healthy, the heart literally has the same shape as it does when you're experiencing moments of joy and courage. So how you think about stress really does matter. It makes a physical difference to your body. It releases the cuddle hormone, or what's very popularly referred to as the love hormone, if you like, oxytocin. And when you release oxytocin, it enhances your ability to empathize with others. It also makes you want to support others and be, I guess, loving towards them, and also receive love and support yourself as well. But what's not known is that oxytocin is actually a stress hormone. So your body wants you to be surrounded by people who care about you when you're in a stressful situation. So yes, you do get adrenaline and you get all other kinds of drugs released, but oxytocin is it physically strengthens your heart. So if you can release oxytocin, there are receptors in your heart, and it makes the organ stronger. So when you're offering support, when you're helping somebody, when you're receiving a hug, your heart is literally getting stronger. And that is a positive way of your body giving you something extra to cope in the moment of stress. So in conclusion, my advice to you is to reach out to others. We can't avoid stress. If we think about recreational drugs, alcohol, even some people are addicted to exercise, those are all forms of avoidance. And sometimes we get told to avoid stress. But really, stress is never going to go away in our lives. It's always going to find us. So you're lucky enough to have this built-in mechanism to deal with it, and it's called human connection. So people who seek help from others live longer, and caring does create resilience. When you often see with old people, if someone dies, their partner will follow them quite quickly within 12 months. If they do not receive support, and then they're not getting oxytocin, or they're not giving support, so they don't have the reason to live, they've got a 30% chance of 30% increased chance of dying within those first 12 months. But if they volunteer at a soup kitchen, if they've got grandkids to look after, or children, or a brother to care for, then there's actually no increased chance of death, because they are in a supportive environment and they are able to seek support and give support. So the way to deal with stress is reach out to people, share your problems, and make sure that you're there for them as well, because that will actually help you become less stressed.